Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
I'm doing really great because we had an exciting. We had a round of some March Madness. There were some exciting games.
Yeah, there was a lot of good games. It was a very how do I put that? Like a chalk-filled round of 64, round of 32. We didn't see a lot of these big upsets or anything like that. We only have one double-digit seed going into the Sweet 16, which we're gonna talk about how they got there too before previewing their Sweet 16 matchup. We didn't see a lot of these crazy things. No 13 seed or higher lost in the first round this year. We didn't see a lot of upsets maybe people were predicting to happen in the first round. We just didn't see. It was a lot of the favorites going in and getting it done to start this tournament. First game we do talk about is we've only seen actually one buzzer beater so far. I usually think this time you see a lot of buzzer beaters. We'll talk about this the 4-12 matchup in the round of 32 yesterday between Maryland and Colorado State, where Maryland won on a little fadeaway bank shot buzzer beater. I know Mex is the Rams' biggest hater.
I loved it.
So how are you feeling and stuff throughout this game?
Oh, I felt completely fine. Like I said on the podcast last week, the Rams are good for one tournament win, all right, and then they're going to get their hopes up. And once they get the fans' expectations, we can make a run. This is the year we go Sweet 16 or blah, blah, blah. They get the hopes up, and they'll collapse. They actually played pretty good throughout this whole game, Caden. That's the funny thing about it. They were in control. They looked fine, They seemed like they were doing everything right, and I think a lot of Rams fans thought they were going to come away. I know, former pod member Choff thought they had it locked up in the bag on a buzzer beater, a game winner, a season ender, a heart stabber, whatever words you want to put on it, Caden. They got the victory, and they're moving on, as I had in my bracket.
Yeah, I mean, we both – I had this exact matchup, too. I'm sweating that out, though. I'm like, no way CSU is going to come in and beat Maryland. They had a great first half. They led by 7. And then we started seeing more of Maryland come through. Derek Queen started playing better. He's the one who actually ended up hitting that buzzer beater, one of the best just freshmen in the country. Oh, yeah. And then they take the lead. They're up 1 with 3 seconds left off to a big shot by the Rams. I'm like, they might actually do this. And it took not a miraculous buzzer beater, because this is some of, the crazier shots we've seen this tournament before, where it's like a half-court heave.
Yeah.
It was just a very good shot. He got a good shot off in only having 3 seconds, able to get the little fadeaway bank shot in. And yeah, good for Maryland. I'm glad we at least had not only the exact matchup, but the winner in this matchup, right, going into
and not only that, of any of the teams to get a buzzer beater hit on them, Colorado State, gotta love it.
Now we're going to get to the more earlier of the upset. All the bigger upsets I have for us to talk about here is in the round of 32. As a lot of people, we only saw 2 12-5 upsets this year, but CSU was favored over Memphis.
Yeah.
The one, true 12-5 upset we saw this year was McNeese over Clemson. The one I didn't pick, where McNeese held Clemson to 13 points in the first half. They're up 18. Get outscored by 16 in the second half, but because of how much of a lead and stuff they were able to build in the first half, they moved on before eventually losing to Purdue in the round of 32, who, as you guys remember, I had losing to High Point in the first round. So Purdue's in the Sweet 16. I thought High Point was going to beat them in the first round. So we're going to talk about some round of 32 upsets here. Starting off was one of my Elite 8 teams. So you can tell how good my bracket's going right now. I've just mentioned a couple Sweet 16 teams I lost. Now I'm talking about an Elite 8 team I lost in the round of 32. As the 10-seeded Arkansas Razorbacks and John Calipari were able to upset Rick Pitino and his squad 75-66 in a game that in the first half, St. John's was looking pretty good. They were down 3. It's whatever. You're not a great 3-point shooting team. They weren't shooting the 3 ball well. It's like you could still find a way back in this, going down 3, get points in the paint, get to the line, play your top 10 in the country defense. And then it was just worse basketball by them on the offensive and defensive side in the second half.
Yeah, Caden, this wasn't too much of a surprise for me. I did have St. John's losing in this round, actually. I just didn't think it was going to be Arkansas. Credit to Arkansas. They have been very impressive, and I think, one of the better teams as a whole throughout this entire tournament that we've seen. It's only been 2 rounds, Caden, but particularly just the way they played, the way they've gone after it, the way they've hustled, and they've put it on some pretty good teams, Caden, and they've gotten some pretty good victories.
Yeah, Arkansas is going to be interesting looking at their match in the Sweet 16, which we're going to get to here in a couple minutes. That are they the only double-digit seed to reach the Sweet 16? Do we see this kind of
Can't.
Cinderella story go further. We'll see, even
I
though
don't
it's
think
kind of
so.
hard to call them a Cinderella when it's John Calipari as your coach and you are one of the highest NIL spenders for college basketball. So a couple points there. Another upset, those we saw the 3 seed Iowa State Cyclones lose to the 6 seed Ole Miss Rebels 91-78 in a game that was all Ole Miss from start to finish.
Yeah, Caden. I had this predicted in my bracket as well as highly as Iowa State was ranked at one point in the season. They've kind of just teetered off. They were fading as the season ended. You like to see teams doing this once you get into March Madness. They were kind of team that did this. Didn't even make it to the semifinals of that Big 12
Yep.
tournament. Caden, even after impressive performance from Curtis Jones, in that BYU game, absolutely lighting it up, 31 points. They still didn't get a victory. That goes to show you just, how lacking this team was towards the end. Even though they were a really good, fundamentally sound team, kid, but to come out and get blown out in a loss like this is just disappointing as a fan base who was so high on this team earlier.
Yeah, 100% agree with everything you said right there. But this is another team that I actually had in my Sweet 16 before losing to Michigan State. And I thought North Carolina was actually going to beat Ole Miss in the round of 64. So, yeah, all parts of this I had wrong. So that's good to see. And, yeah, Ole Miss kind of they're another one of these popular round one upset picks. They went in there, dominated UNC, and now they dominated Iowa State here in the second round. Their offense is being able to score the ball extremely well right now. They're playing not poor, not great defense, just kind of good enough defense.
Good enough.
And their offense is kind of carrying them right now. That what Ole Miss is doing right now is able to win them good games against good teams. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And last upset was a 6-3 where the BYU Cougars actually upset Wisconsin 91-89, and what was just a really good basketball game.
It was, Caden, and people might have had this as upset, but I once again had BYU making it past Wisconsin in this one. I'm telling you, when BYU gets hot, Caden, that 3 ball is falling. You got Richie Sanders out there leading the squad. They can compete with anyone. And 91 points just shows you the fact that they can go out and they can score. Now, defense wasn't the greatest, right? That's kind of the question mark thing with BYU. But if you get into a gunfight and their guns are firing, they can outgun anyone. And that's exactly what they did in this matchup. It was a just good old-fashioned shootout March Madness basketball game, like the game on this one, Caden.
It was one of the best games we were able to see in this first opening weekend, 4 days or whatever, of just, really good. And 91-89, that's a very high scoring for a college basketball game. So to see a lot of offense and just a close game, I know the first half it was kind of BYU running away from it. But in the second half, we saw a close game for most of that entire second half, obviously a 2-point win for the Cougars. That these are just the type of games we enjoy seeing at this time of year.
Yes, love it. This is March basketball at its pinnacle, kid.
Now, so yeah, we are recording this on Monday, right after the weekend. So we're going to look into these Sweet 16 games, kind of give you who we think is going to come out in these Sweet 16 matches, kind of quick fire at the hip for these. If it coincides with our bracket, obviously that's who we're going to be picking. But we have 6 seed Cougars, BYU, face off against Alabama.
Yeah, Caden, as much as I've liked BYU this season, as much as I've talked about them, being hot, and I just hyped them up a second ago, I have Alabama winning this game. I just think they're the better team. And with BYU, they're streaky. I think they just had a game where they absolutely shot the lights out the building. And I think now you're going to get the opposite of that. And that's what's kind of been BYU's story is that they live and die by that 3 ball. And I think Alabama's got the defense and, the aggressiveness on the offensive side to come out and compete with them. They're going to get the dub in advance.
Yeah. So I have both teams in this matchup wrong on my bracket. It was supposed to be St. Mary's against Wisconsin, but none of those teams are there. With that being said, I'm going to agree with everything you said right there. I think Alabama's going to be able to do enough. Get in, get out. Mark Sears, one of these top guards in the country. I think all that and Nate Oates as the coach is going to help them get through this Cougars team. Now we got 4-seeded Maryland against the number 1 seed Florida. All I got to say is I think Florida's going to come in. They're going to get another good win, and I really need them to because they're my winner. And I need a lot of things to go right. But as long as Florida keeps chugging along, we might have a slim chance.
Caden, you don't have a very good chance, but I do think Florida has a great chance of getting the W, and I see them moving on as well.
Now is a 1-4 matchup between Duke and Arizona, where I just think Duke's going to roll. I think this will be a clean 9 to 15 point victory.
Yeah, shout out Zona. They were able to make it this far again with a team like BYU, 2 semifinalists in that Big 12 tournament. I think again their season ends here, unfortunately.
And our last game that we have on the Thursday for the Sweet 16 is the 10 seed Arkansas Razorbacks, the one double-digit seed to make it this year, face out against the 3 seed Texas Tech Red Raiders. Where I just think I know you have Calipari as your coach out there. I just think the versatility and the ability to score the ball for this Texas Tech offense is able to propel them on top.
Yeah, you have JT Toppin, right? And I didn't have Arkansas predicted in this matchup, Caden, but I did have TTU going on and getting the dub and advancing on in this one.
Now our second day of the Sweet 16 matchups is we have Ole Miss against Michigan State right now in a 6-2 matchup where kind of like with my Florida pick, while I could definitely see Ole Miss being able to come in and win this game because of how good they are offensively and how bad Michigan State is at shooting the 3 ball. But I have Michigan State in my Final Four, so I'm picking Michigan State to win the game.
Likewise, Caden, I also have Michigan State. I don't think I have them in my Final Four, but I do have them going into the Elite Eight this next round, Caden. So give me them, get the victory, and move on. Actually, I do have them in Final Four. Sorry. Yes.
Now we got a 2-3 matchup between Tennessee and Kentucky that I didn't even think Kentucky was going to make it this far.
Neither did I.
I think with this Tennessee defense, with like players like Zakai Siegler on this Tennessee, I think they're going to just, not offensively and defensively, be able to outwork this Kentucky team.
Yeah, Ken, we talked about it coming into this tournament. I like teams who were trending up towards, March Madness, and Tennessee was one of those teams that were trending up. They had a pretty solid run in that SEC tournament. Obviously, a gauntlet of some teams, had some close games, but were able to rally and push through. And also, Caden, you got to learn from the losses. I think that they're going to be able to come in and get a dub over a Kentucky team who has impressed me this tournament, I'd say.
Yeah, they've definitely impressed me. We both thought they were going to lose the other night to one of either Illinois or Xavier, and it just didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Our next game here is a 1-5 matchup between Auburn and Michigan, as they were able to knock off Texas A&M. I thought Texas A&M was going to win that game, then be able to knock off Auburn here to advance to the Elite Eight. So not a good look for me. Let's get your thoughts on this one first.
Yeah, I had TAMU being able to come in and get to this game as well. I did not see them beating Auburn, Caden. I think Auburn loses next round. We'll talk about that later on, I guess, in next week's episode. But I do see, Auburn getting the victory here over number 5 Michigan and advancing on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think it would have been a better matchup if we could have seen an A&M Auburn game. As A&M has showed this season, they split with Auburn this year. They've shown they're able to beat Auburn, and their defense is one of these best in the country. I think they could have found a way to slow down that Auburn offense. Here, though, against Michigan, I just think people like Gianni Broom and like Denver Jones and such are going to be able to
Denver Jones, nice.
outwork Michigan offensively, defensively. Kind of like that Duke game, a nice, clean, probably double-digit victory. And our last Sweet 16 matchup is with the Houston and the 4-seeded Purdue Boilermakers, who once again didn't have Guinea Adam losing to High Point in the first round.
That's great.
So that's all great. Houston is one of the best defenses in the country. They're a top 20 offense in the country. I thought Purdue was losing first round. I think it's kind of that. So going with Houston, I think they are definitely a team that can make a deep run in this tournament.
Caden, come on.
I know, yeah, you're the Houston team.
I'm the Houston guy. Let's go Cougs. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you have to say. Hey, that's your champ.
That is my champ.
If you look at our Untouchaballs
that
pool,
game last nights ago was a little sketch, but
yeah, in our Untouchaballs pool, Mex is looking really good right now.
Good.
Still has all his Elite Eight teams. He's the only one with Houston.
Correct.
So he's riding high on the Cougs going into this Sweet 16 matchup.
Yep.
Make sure you guys leave a like on this video if you did enjoy. Comment anything you'd have different with these games or the other big upsets you think you could see happening over this next weekend. Turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, and share this with your friends, family, strangers, neighbors, anything like that.
Most definitely, we appreciate y'all. We thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.